Hello everyone, welcome back to the lab and also welcome back to the fifth week of the TCG Burst of Destiny North America Metagame Report. So this week I tried to rush the report a little bit. Therefore, if you look closely into the Google Doc and the Excel spreadsheet through the link down below in the description, you'll see there's relatively more unconformed and or even just unknown decks. That is because I was trying to rush this report a little bit more so I can post it before the end of pre-registration for Remote Duel YCS that's coming in a couple days. I feel like the data will still help people make some last minute decisions. By the time this video is uploaded, it should be slightly under 24 hours before the registration close. So I hope the data and then the explanations will help people decide something last minute, hopefully. And the relatively unconformed decks are the ones that I did not get the answers directly from the user, from the player, through Discord, and I got them indirectly from either like people being watching them through their Discord match or people that have played them for the final rounds that way. So it's relatively more unconformed, but most likely true. And then the unknowns is just people who even at this point still hasn't responded my message on Discord. If those data's being confirmed later, I will update it in the Excel spreadsheet in the Google Doc. So eventually, or hopefully, you will see all those data being posted there. So what happened in the past week? The new product release was Brothers Legend. This is an interesting set. In theory, it does have couple new cards that can kind of shape the meta. There were the Utopia cards from the OCG Utopia structure deck. There were some support for the Water Exceeds for the Shark deck that I've seen people talk about it on both Discord and Facebook. And there's also finally the long waiting Ultra Guys imports, which does make Ultra Guys kind of more playable in a competitive level in theory. And then there's other new cards, which we will see some in the data I collected this week. However, overall, this whole set has not have too much impact to the meta yet. Um, my personally guess, is because some people may not have access to the cards yet. They might be waiting in the mail or just waiting for their locals to get the set. So they just haven't got it. Or some people actually kind of finish with like theorizing with all the new cards, but they decide to keep them secret for the incoming remote Duel YCS. So the real impact for Brothers Legend, I think we'll see it during the YCS in the incoming week, instead of really seeing anything in this week's data. So for the tournaments happened in the past weekend, I included 8 remote regionals happened both Saturday and Sunday. 5 of them being on Saturday, 3 of them being on Sunday, and a total of 40 deck lists from the top 8 from all, no, not 40, 64 lists from the 8 remote regionals happened through online during the weekend. And in addition to it, I included the Pranky Boys Burst of Destiny Case Remote Duel Tournament happened on kind of Saturday morning, North American time. This one is hosted by a store from New Zealand, and it hosted with 73 players. However, because this is a free case remote duel tournament, it actually attracts a decent amount of North American players playing into it. Therefore, I just still include it because it's relatively more North American players base. And the only IRL tournament I covered is from Tables Towers, and they had a Blood of Legend case tournament happened in Maryland on Sunday with 101 players. This is the only IRL tournament I covered this weekend. And so within the total of 96 deck lists, 64, like 8 top 8s from the remote duel regionals, and the 2 top 16s from the 2 case tournaments. Out of the total 96 deck lists, the breakdown or the ratio, we have Sorcerer with a 20% and Lyrillus Tri-Brigade with a 15%. These two has just been leading the format, almost the whole format the entire time, similar to the past couple weekends. And also similar to the past couple weekends, the following decks has just been shuffling quite a bit every week. Last week I remember there was like a little bit more Tri-Brigade or other decks. This week it's more Phantom Knights and Sky Striker, followed by Invoke Dogmatica, and then a lot of lower tier decks such as Flow Under Ease, Live Twins, Outledge, Orcus, and a quarter of other decks. And there's a common trait of them, but before we talk about it, there's a detailed breakdown. Sourcel, there's 19 Sourcel, 15 of them being 10E Sourcel, 3 of them being DPE Sourcel, the Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer version, and 1 of them being a pure Sourcel. 14 Lyrillus Tri-Brigade, 8 DP Phantom Knights, 8 DP Sky Striker, 7 DP Invoke Dogmatica. These 5 above are the biggest 5 of the weekend. And then followed by just the smaller ones. I even break down the different version of the details, such as like the Evil Twins. There are 3 Evil Twins with 1 Dogmatica Evil Twins, and so on and so forth. And here is the second page of the deck breakdown. As you see this week, there's like a little bit more kind of rogue feeling about the online tournaments. I feel there's just a lot of people trying different things. Also, there are so many remote regionals happen on the same time at the same day, so it kind of separate the players into different tournaments. That's probably why. And then, as I mentioned earlier, there's an interesting trades. After the Sorcerer and Lyrillus Tri-Brigade, the following decks, most of them are DPE version of deck. That's also why we see an increase of DPE ratio compared to last weekend. Last weekend we had like a 30% of DPE to the meta. This weekend it increased to 39. It's almost 40% of the meta. If we look at closely into the breakdown, there were 59 decks that doesn't run DPE, and 37 decks with DPE. Majority of them being actually the DPE decks instead of like DPE as a side engine. Those are being like the Phantom Knight, Sky Striker, Invoke Dogmatica, and then followed by the ones that was like more as a side engine, like Sorcerer and Drytron. And of course, there's also always the 3 hero having DPE as their hero cards. So this is the detailed breakdown for this week. Just similar as the past couple weeks, I'll be introducing the explanations for 2 decks this week. The first one being Tangy Sorcerer. It's relatively similar to like a standard version at this point, as you don't really see anything specifically interesting from the main deck. However, Tyree Tinsley piloted this Tangy Sorcerer, and it was 5-1-1 and 6th place at Tables Towers Brother of Legend Case Tournament on Sunday. An interesting thing he used in his extra deck and side deck is the combination of Cyber/Harpy Lady and Harpy's Featherstorm. Harpy's Featherstorm is more a card people known as a powerful trap in Lyrillus Tri-Brigade decks. However, since both Sorcerer and Tangy Monster can easily synchro summon level 8 synchro monsters, Tyree decided to use Cyber/Harpy Lady. As a Harpy Lady, it's a wing beast, so it fulfilled the requirement for Harpy's Featherstorm. And then this card, Hobby's Featherstorm, similar as Literalist Tri Brigade having it, it's like kind of it's a powerful trap that can shut down opponent's monster effect for a whole turn. And in 10 use or so, it serves like a backup going for a strategy for in case the source of monster isn't enough to deal with the board. And this also become like a backup counterplay against board breaking cards such as like Dark Ruler and Forbidden Droplets, which Sorcerer decks usually have a little bit more issue to deal with it. So these combined give Sorcerer even more power when going first, and Tyree proved to do very well with it. So this is the Tiny Sorcerer. Next we have Lyreless Tri Brigade. This is also a relatively more standard Lyreless Tri Brigade. This is the first place from a remote regionals happened this past weekend on Saturday. The only special part is there are 3 copies of Wing Requetto. This is a new card from Brothers of Legend. It's a fast saying if there are more than two or more monster that's with different names that are uh, that are all wing beast monsters, you get to pay 600 life points and draw 2 cards. So it is a new draw card that support Wing Beast archetypes, but since the activation only required 2 Wing Beasts with different names, Lyrolust decks can easily put those requirements on the board and utilize this to dig for more combo pieces, extenders, or even sometimes hand traps to help setting up boards. So this is like relatively the only new card, new use of Brother of Legend in this past weekend. And Wing Recorder definitely make Lyreless Tri Brigade having like a pot of greed in the deck more powerful. And in the side deck, he also chose to run a copy of Dark Simorph inside. It is an old Wing Beast monster, therefore it's very accessible through Simorph, the Link 3 Simorph Bird of Sovereignty. Just the same way as how Lyrla summon Wingbearer Statue or Epic Xavier. And in addition, Dark Simorph has an effect that prevent opponent from setting cards, both setting monsters and setting spells or traps. And this makes it it becomes a very powerful tool against back row decks and control decks who rely on their traps. And in addition to it, if you combine with anti-spell fragments, Dark Symbol plus anti-spell, this combo can completely shut down both opponent's spells and traps, and making other decks like Owlich or Sky Striker suffer greatly if they didn't open an immediate answer such as like Forbidden Droplet to Dark Symbol or Cosmic Cyclone on the anti spell. So that's the 2 decks I am going to include this week. As like said earlier, I'm kind of rushing this week's report so people can see the data faster and earlier and maybe help them to make some decisions for the incoming remote Duel YCS. And as you see in the pie chart, majority of decks well, the top 2 decks are relatively staying the same, being Sorso and Lyrolusk. And the following decks are majority of them including DPE as their either side engine or just main engine to it. So this is essentially how the current format is. If your deck is actually good enough, you will be only Sorso or Lyrolusk. If your deck isn't as good as the other 2, it will most likely become a DP version of the deck and try to compete with the format. And then if not in either those options, it will just fall into others. And then DPE, Destiny Hero Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer is just a still very popular and amazing card and has even gained more representation compared to last week. And Brothers Legend, since it hasn't really have any real impact, but many of the decks that has been doing well in the previous weeks are continuing to perform well after release. And the new decks after Brothers Legend, we probably have to wait until the incoming remote to YCS to see if they're gonna shine in the meta or not. So that's it for this week's weekly report. And then I hope the data, everything. If you need anything, any specific deck list or just the Excel spreadsheet, the link to the Google Doc will be in the description. And the picture version of this video will be posted later today. I'll try to make it faster, and so making sure people can see it before the registration ends. And I guess that will be it for this week's report. If you think the data are helpful, are useful for yourself to build decks, feel free to share it to everywhere, to like group chats, your testing friends, and then hope everyone know and good luck to the remote dual YCS incoming for the incoming weekend. That will be it. And next weekend, obviously, it will be the YCS, so it will most likely be a specific report for the YCS. And I hope to see everyone in the incoming week. And then see you. Good luck at the YCS.